Yes.
your conference that you ran was called the OT, say the title.
OT, online side hustle and beyond.
Right. And so people don't have to be ready to quit their job and start a private practice to take action. In fact, it's a lot easier if you just start some little thing, a little side thing. So it's less threatening. You still have a job.
Exactly.
You know, if this doesn't work, like it's not a disaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I tell people like, I don't want you to quit your job. And I actually prefer people that are working either full-time or part-time and wanting to start this.
Yeah.
A lady that I spoke to told me that she wasn't going to start the program until she left her job. And I was like, okay, like why, like why? And she explained it and I completely understand. Like she feels like she can only really have like one focus at a time. And I'm like, okay. But ideally, and I'm happy to support her, right? But ideally in my mind, it's, someone who is working full time and is not going to let that go and rely on this income because it's a learning process. It's really a lot to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much we've learned in the past year or two.
So much.
A lot, like it's a lot. And so I don't want somebody to leave, but just take that small step and be able to grow and then cut down your hours and then continue to expand and go beyond.
Totally. And especially if they're like, I'm often trying to encourage my clients who need to do a fair bit of work to get unstuck, but I would love for them to start gathering an audience early in that process. So maybe even like start a Facebook profile that's more oriented to their business. And then, cause it took like, I think about the eyeballs that I've gathered over 2 years. If I only started that when I was about ready to launch a product, well, who are you going to sell it to?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you could just dabble and jump in Facebook groups, see what people like, do that research part as a persona, as your business, right? Or as you in your business, and you start building relationships and filling things out. And I love Facebook groups for research and kind of you find your niche and go, oh, what are they talking about? They like, who knew this was the biggest problem everyone talked about? How can I help with that?
Yeah. So that's like all of module 1 in my program.
Look at that. Just summed it all up.
Done. Check. You just got module 1. No, seriously, like all of module 1 for our program is market research.
Yeah.
And so, and I purposely started it really nice and slow so people were not overwhelmed, but it's the perfect first step. Yeah. Whether you're in my program or not, like, or you're in Carlyn's program, or whether you're in no program, like the very first step is to learn who it is that you want to serve and what their problems are. Period. Like,
and
go
you need
gather
to use
information.
Their words, their language.
Exactly.
As OTs, we're so good at speaking about solutions and the how and the outcome, but we have to flip it upside down because people need to see what their struggle is in your marketing. And that feels weird because we don't tend to highlight challenges before strengths.
Yes. Yeah. It is weird. It was a learning process. It's weird to continue to teach people this because they're like, well, why do I want to do that? And then, when you explain it, you're like, okay, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But as OTs, it's not natural to go and just talk about people's problems, which is, like you said, very like solution focused.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of unlearning for business in the actual doing of the work. We'll go back to, how we want to do it, but it's more about how do you talk about it to people? How do you find your people? Because they are your people you end up helping. Yeah.
Yeah. But the market research part, I think that even those with resistance to it end up having fun and realizing like, oh, this is fun. Like to be able to really,
there's a whole community out there.
Interview people or like read their emotions laid out on paper, like laid out in post, and just to be able to actually like sit and listen, to be able to like socially listen to your ideal clients and learn about it. That process is so good. It's enjoyable. And it's so important.
Totally. It is. And if you can start gathering data as early as possible too, right? Yes. Like, and it could simply be when you're scrolling on your phone, you take some screenshots and you have an album that's like market research. And not that it's, you're going to take all these private names and turn them into anything, but you're looking for words and problems and the way people talk about their challenges and the solutions they're looking for.
Yes. I love that. Having that's my course, having a folder with all the screenshots. I'm going to add that.
We've never talked about this before. That's funny. And I've actually never really, I've kind of done it, but I wish, thinking back to all the things I wish I would have done when I was at these earlier stages. I tend to do, I was a little further along in my process when I started doing some data collection. And I started using, when I would talk to people, or people who were interested in talking to me about their challenges just for my research process, I ended up creating a Google form that I would actually fill out while we were talking. And then the benefit of that is that then you can pull all the data into a spreadsheet. I hate spreadsheets, but I've had to embrace them. And my brain does not work in a spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh. I like spreadsheets. I don't like creating them, but I like using them. Yeah.
So what is in terms of a first offer, what's the easiest starter? I know we can think of some big offers, we can think of some medium offers, but what's that tiny first thing a person might try to do?
I feel like this is my little spiel on getting started in the online world.
Yeah.
Is what is it that you're always repeating and telling your clients or your patients over and over and over again?
Yeah.
And so taking that thing, there's always something that we're oh my gosh, I'm saying this to so-and-so and so-and-so, and you're just repeating the same thing all the time. I think we all can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was the telehealth. How do I do telehealth? Everyone kept asking me. So the first step that I did and that I recommend is to write a book or to create a course. And so I've done both, but you just take that information that you're constantly repeating and just either put it on paper or create some video modules and put it in a course. Yeah. And I know it feels like such a big deal to write a book, but this type of book should be, this type of book should be pretty easy. You have all the things that's in your head, create an outline, and put in your subtopics, and your main points are your chapters, and then start writing paragraphs under each, bullet point. And then you have a book. The hardest part is when to know when to stop, how to know when to stop. And then, the logistics of getting published and all that. But I think that
did you self-publish?
Taking what we know,
Did you self-publish? Or did you
I published through Amazon Kindle Direct
KDP.
Publishing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
So but the part of taking what you already know, what you're already familiar with, what you've already repeated 1,000 times in your practice, and just putting it on paper or putting it into a course is such a great first step for entrepreneurship, online or offline.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And self-publishing through Amazon KDP is actually quite painless. Yeah. You don't have to keep any stock. They'll print it on demand when somebody orders it. So if nobody orders it, which is very unlikely, you're not out any money, maybe just buying your number, right? Your ISBN, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty easy. And I know people that are out there supporting authors in the healthcare space, and you can get support for that as well.
Right.
And so you can get, fully supported through that process, but if you can figure it out.
I used a company here in Canada called the Self-Publishing Agency, and they were really helpful. I used them just to help me map out the process of self-publishing. A lot of the information was available online. It was overwhelming. And then I needed somebody to hold my hand through the process. And
isn't that I've talked to my members about this. Isn't that so funny? Because everyone is worried when you're creating a course or creating a program. Everyone's so worried about all the information is out there. Yeah. All the information that you're consuming from me is out there too. Yep. But why are you in my program, or why are you in Carlyn's program? It's because you want somebody to take you through a step-by-step process and not allow yourself to get lost in the world of Google.
Yeah.
And so you get the support. And I have been through that. And I know you've been through that, programs that help us get to where we are faster than being lost out there, in the sea of online information on our own.
Because there are a million ways to do everything. and you know, to have somebody you align with kind of help you walk through the process is worth investing some money on, or else you could spend years and years and years in preparation and then still not have an answer. Yeah.
You're either going to invest your time or invest your money. And for me now, as a mom of 3 little girls under 5, like my time is very valuable. And I know I spent a year on my private practice on my own. And the minute I invested in a business coach, like I was able to just like take off. And I'm like, oh, well, I should have done that like a long time ago, because I just spent all this time trying to figure it out when someone else already had the answers and knew exactly what to do.
And you know, what's interesting is a lot of the clients I see have invested a lot of money in a lot of coaching and still haven't taken action. And so they're sort of in this spot of, oh my goodness, now I have this shame of having paid for all this stuff and I didn't do it. And so I'll often get them when they've been thinking about it and not spent any money learning, because it sounds really overwhelming. Or on that flip side where, okay, like I need to do this now, and I need you to help me work through all the fears and thoughts and beliefs that get in my way. And it's really interesting. With my book, I had actually thought of the book years before, and mine's a planner. And I had, with my mental health private practice, I'd been using other planners. We both love the Passion Planner, right? And it's fantastic. And I was using those with clients. I was using them with myself, but I always wanted to insert some psychoeducation in there and some tools in there. So I was often writing things down, or giving people handouts, and they'd be stuffing them in the pockets, which is great. But I wanted something all together. And then I thought, well, the thought of publishing seemed really overwhelming, because I didn't know about all this KDP stuff, and thought, well, you know what, like I could turn that, actually all of that, into a course. And so then why would I do the book? And then I wanted to do the book anyways. And then further down the line, it made sense to make the book as a workbook. And then how was I going to get it printed? Well, the cheapest way to get it printed was through Amazon KDP. And then, well, why not sell it? Well, then it's like, but I'm giving away a lot of my stuff, like a lot of my roadmap to help people. But then I thought, well, if someone can change their life with a book, awesome, have at her, because we still need support quite often. And my ideal client can't fix it all with a book.
Yeah, it's true. And we've read all the books, right? Yeah. Like we've read all the books, listening to all the podcasts, but I still pay for coaching. Like I just need, it's so nice to just be able to have that person for me, like send a message to on Voxer and say, hey, like, I want to do this or this, like, what do you think? And expert opinion, or just like support, accountability, you can check in with me. And I've learned a lot of it through books and podcasts, but at the end of the day, someone who's going to be there supporting me and pushing me towards that next step and making, like I get pushed to like the next level, where normally I would just be like staying in my comfort zone. And he's like, oh, no. Like, you're good now. Like you're going to move up to the next one. I'm like, okay, like fine.
Yes.